Okay, today is it's Tuesday. It's 1:14 a.m. somewhere abouts, and it's currently June 13th. Now I have three sets of setups that I'm using. Okay, the first one is a very strong support. The second one is soft support. Third is a breakout trade. So I saw this YouTube guy using it, recorded on video, him using it. So essentially, what happens is when it when support and resistance area is here, and when it breaks out, and then if it shows characteristics of reaching it from here to there, that's a breakout. Okay, that's the third one, right? So what I've noticed, what I have been attempting to do is to see if I can make the soft support viable. Okay, soft support. Now, what I have been having issues with is I can only go small because I'm not sure. I'm not like I'm not I don't know. I don't know whether a particular setup, the soft support setup, is a legitimate support. Okay, and so the only thing that I can do is, because I'm not sure, what I do is I go with a small size, and what that means is that when I go with a small size, I can't make much money off of it. I can't lose much either, and so I was always thinking about it that way. Then I thought to myself, and then I saw something. I suppose it's like a spark of genius. I think it's called a spark of genius. I think it's a, I think it's determined. I think it's specified as something called a spark of genius. I think what happens is that I'm observing, and I connect these two things together to come to a conclusion about something that's totally different, right? And so what I've noticed is this. Now, this is after 5 years, okay? And I'm not, uh, it doesn't really matter to me. Uh, I'm not a bright person, and so it happens. So I can admit this freely, okay? Because I am not too bright, okay? So I'm not too bright. When I was a kid, I got hit in the head too hard, okay? So the bridge, I ran into a bridge, and it knocked some certain things out in my brain or something. So it took me 46 years to figure this out, okay? About my brain. Anyway, so I was thinking about, so now I'm thinking, okay, so I'm looking into this, and I'm looking at it. I'm thinking to myself, so it just hit me. It just hit me like that bridge, okay? So when I was like 6 years old, the neighborhood kids were playing hide and seek. It was winter and it was frozen. And so I jumped into a creek where there's a concrete bridge, and there was a frozen pathway. There was ice on one side because it's cold and it's frozen. In the middle there was water flowing there. And then what I did was I ran in as fast as I could. And then I didn't duck I didn't duck enough. And so the top of my head just ran into that corner. You know, the corner that looks like this concrete, and there's the bridge right there. I ran into that and I was knocked out. And when I woke up, I was in my house. And then I just awoke. Okay, right? So anything could have happened. I could have rolled into the water, and um, I could have hit so hard that I could have been just like, right? I could have. I mean, I could have been in coma and go, right? Something like that. So it hit me that hard, okay? It hit so hard that it took me 56 years to get that resolved in my brain, to heal itself. I think it healed itself somehow, all right? So then I was looking at this. I was actually looking at this. I was actually looking at UJ, okay? So UJ essentially went from 157.9 to uh, 158.74. Okay, so it's an uptrending within a matter of, if I were to look at this, within a matter of 4.5 hours, it went like that, right? It went up that much. Then what I noticed is that it went up, hit resistance, dropped to support. Now it did that a couple times. And so I saw this on the third time and it was moving up. And I thought to myself, that's interesting. Uptrending, pulled back, now it's going back up. What do you think is going to happen? Right? What do you think is going to happen? Then I concluded, well, it's in an uptrend. Okay? And then there's another confluence. The one that's before the pulled back is a lower low than the one that I'm seeing currently, which is a higher low, which means that it's going to go up, most likely. And so if I had sized right here, and sure enough, within a matter of essentially 15 minutes, it hit resistance. So that means that I identified the trend. I identified one confluence. Okay, what is that confluence? Okay, so the confluence is that there's resist. I identified the resistance. I identified support, and then the second confluence is it hit the support, came back up and hit the resistance, came back. The second confluence is it had a higher low. That means that chances are it's going to go up. So I'm actually improving the statistical probability by adding the confluences, which will give me confidence enough to allow me to make a bigger commitment to my trade. Instead of like not knowing what's going on. Sure, it's like it hit there, but how do I know? I was asking myself this question. How do I know? Well, I nothing's for certain, okay? But there is a higher level of confluence. So I was just briefly thinking about this. Like, it's like, okay, so the moon is out. Does that mean that it's a night? Of course not. Most of the time it is. Okay, the moon comes out at night because it's visible. But it's not always the case, because sometimes what happens is there's an eclipse that happens during the day. The moon comes out and that blocks the sun. So there's in certain parts of the earth, right? And so it doesn't mean that the moon is always up. It's not. It doesn't mean when the moon is out that it's night. It's not. Moon is probably out all the time, but it can only be seen when it's in eclipse or when it is at night. Okay, because the sun will shine it and it reflect, and it's easier to see at night, right? And so what I noticed is, so this is all making sense. And so this reminds me of what these people at SMB Capital does, okay? It all comes back. Originally, 5 years ago when I was looking at this, I was reviewing what they're doing and things like that. So before they make a trade, they make a list of like 10 to 15 items of confluences that they do. And so when these things are all processed, then they make a trade after analyzing. And when all those things point to the same thing, these ideas, trade ideas, are pointing to a singular thing that says, okay, so it's going to go up. Okay? In order to decide that something is going to go up or down, they make this list. They do a research to figure out how to. They are an analyst. Okay, they are an analyst. So that means that when there are confluences that supports the idea, they have this confidence in knowing that how it's going to behave, and so they could trade accordingly. At the least, they know that something's going to be volatile and it can be traded. It's going to behave in a certain way because of all these confluences. So this is a spark of genius for me. Okay, for somebody else, I mean, it's trivial thing. It's kindergarten stuff. But for me, it's a spark of genius.